My name is Blair Mowat and I composed the music for Doctor Jekyll. So the music really is a score of two halves. We actually used two different orchestras in different countries to record the music. I just thought it would be a really fun concept to have two orchestras playing off against each other throughout the score. Towards the beginning of the film, we tend to favor the Budapest Art Orchestra, and then at the end of the film, when things really kick off and Hyde comes out, you're going to hear some really brassy stuff, and that's the RSNO playing there. There are a few different musical themes that go throughout the film. Rob has a theme, which is kind of like a sleuthing theme. Nina herself has a theme, which is quite soft and quite lyrical. And then, of course, we have the opening titles, which is the Doctor Jekyll theme, which runs throughout the entire film. I thought it would be a really fun throwback to actually do what they used to do in the old days in Hammer horror films, which is to spell out the title of the film in the music. So composers like James Bernard would have musical motifs like Dracula. So here we have Dr. Jekyll. And that kind of, it's a very simple thing, but when you listen to the opening titles, it's kind of repeated again, and dun, 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 dun. And you can tell once you know that this whole kind of spelling out of Dr. Jekyll is happening throughout the entire film. What I really loved about composing that is that Joe basically said to me, we're not aiming for subtlety here, we are going for something which is big and brash and bold. I actually recorded a sample library in advance of these weird sounds. One is called a straw violin, which is kind of like a normal violin, but with a megaphone on the side of it. And the other one was called a bass viol. I got the performer to create these horrible, weird, dissonant, high up, scratchy, screechy sounds that I could then layer on, and it kind of became emblematic of Hyde. And it's like Hyde is poking through, so they become more and more insidious and more frequent as the film goes on. So the human voice was another instrument that we used on this score, and we actually had a choir of 30 people that we layered on top. And when Joe, our director, and I sat down to decide where all the music is going to go, he was really keen that we have choir at certain moments to give it a sense of grandeur and make it as epic as possible. Throughout the film, the choir is sometimes used quite traditionally, and then sometimes we kind of do some weird things with it. So one of those examples is in the end credits, where I kind of got the choir to almost imagine that they were these evil forces, and there was a kind of mischievous kind of like nya, 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 nya sort of type thing. And then I actually ended up layering my own voice on top of that as well. So I'm actually in there in the score if you listen hard enough. So I think if I had to choose another favorite piece of music, it would probably be the Devastation of Hyde, as it's called in the soundtrack. And that's basically just because I got to really go for it in terms of the orchestral colors, in terms of the intricacy and the kind of interweaving parts. That's basically where Hyde is released, and Eddie gets to really just go for it with this amazing performance. I think what attracted me most to the project was Hammer horror coming back, and this being the inaugural and the first in a new line of Hammer horror films. I mean, I was such a fan of the music of people like James Bernard that getting to carry that mantle on and be the first person to come and compose something for the new Hammer horror was just an amazing opportunity. And I'm just so glad that I got to work with a team and with a director in Joe that just really allowed me to go for it with the music. I'm really excited to see what Hammer horror does next, and who knows, maybe I'll get a chance to write some more music for Hammer in the future, because if you've heard the music, you can probably tell I had a really good time working on this particular project.